Hi, everybody. This is Cindy Sorley from Vertical Actors Network, and I could not be more honored than to have Austin Herring from Snow Story Productions.
Thank you, Cindy. I'm honored to be here. So likewise, we're both honored.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I love Snow Story, and you guys did win my Production Company of the Year award.
Yay! Thank you. I saw
So
that.
many things that I love about Snow Story, and I'm just going to give you a little bit. I love that you guys add credits to the end of your movies. Thank you for that. I do have a couple of requests down the road, you
I will
know.
accept your thank you for that one. Unlike a lot of a lot of the nice things that I think you're about to say, credits was something that I specifically insisted on. So I will take credit for that one. If you're about to say anything else about the quality and stuff, that's all the directors, the DPs, and the amazing crew that we have. But
Well, the
I'll take that
production
one.
Yeah, the production on these are just amazing. And I'm the one that writes the reviews for, and I always try to acknowledge the DP and the director and the production and everything. And because I think it's very important. Those behind the scenes are as important as the actors up front.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
so the two things just jumping in that I would love to see, and you're going to laugh at me, is I would like to see the names on the posters. Like when the poster comes out, I'd like to see, whether it be Cayman Cardiff and Jameson Lee or whatever,
Hmm.
because that way I don't have to go to the very end of the movie to write my
Hmm.
reviews, as I'm
Right.
writing the reviews and doing the notes. And I just think that gives them a little bit more credit because so
Yeah.
many of the covers are now AI, and I really appreciate that you guys, have are not doing that. I know that you guys do probably poster footage while you're
Hmm.
there. You take a
Yep.
picture of them posing or whatever.
Yeah.
I passed by many movies that have been AI. I didn't recognize the actors, but I
Uh,
would.
uh, and I will again take your thanks, but we have definitely had some posters that were done in AI. It not my doing. And we do always take the photos and pass them along, but it's only in very rare instances where we do the poster design ourselves. And when it's up to the client, it's just out of our hands. But I do think that I like the idea of putting the names on the poster. I think that it seems like an obvious thing to do.
Yeah, we see it. We see it in Hollywood big features. Why
Hmm.
couldn't it be done on verticals? And so now, I'm really curious how you got into this business.
um, I stumbled and tripped and landed in it, just the same as pretty much everybody else. I feel like I just got a phone call one day about a super low budget project, and I decided, you know what the heck, let's try it. It sounds like fun. It was interactive. And it was in fact the very first interactive vertical, Pregnant by My Ex's Dad. Um, and I have always been a big believer in interactive style storytelling. We did a not a commercial. What would you call it? Like a BTS exclusive thing where we did this interactive choose your own adventure style journey through the BTS of a hit show. And I was so impressed with the technology that I was like, "Oh wow, this is a whole new realm that Hollywood has not tapped into and could revolutionize the industry in a similar way to like what Avatar did with 3D, you know."
Oh yeah.
And so I was always like, "Oh, I want to do more interactive." And so when these guys came and they were like, "Hey, we've got a terrible budget, but I heard, but it's interactive and we could get some more practice doing interactive storytelling." And so that piqued my interest. It also piqued my interest because we were just coming out of the SAG WGA strike that happened. And so a lot of my team was like, looking for work. And I was like, hey, got a project with a bad rate, and hard days, but it's something. And I called everybody and was like, are you guys interested in this? Should we do it? And the consensus was, yeah, let's give it a try. And pretty quickly we some of us, I think, realized that this was something really special. This was our first foray into verticals. They'd been around for a few months, but I'd never heard of them and nobody else had. But me and Casey Jackson was on the project as well as a producer, not even as a director. and Corey Gibbons, who has become a major director himself. But he was, I think, our first AC or something like that. He was like, low down the totem pole on that very first project, and is just, he's incredibly good, and so he's risen the ranks very quickly.
He's
But
amazing, and I was
he
so
is.
pleased to meet him in real life. You
Yeah,
know,
he's
I,
he's a wonderful, and so Corey and I go way back. We went to college together.
that's what I was going to
Um,
ask.
yeah,
Yeah, in South
so
Carolina or somewhere, right?
in South Carolina, that's
Oh
right,
my
Rock Hill,
goodness!
South Carolina, Winthrop University. We were theater majors at the same time.
Oh my gosh! Now, how did you get into production? Were you already doing that prior to Verticals?
Yeah. Oh, so my company, Snow Story, has been around for about 10 years now, and we started as a commercial production company. We still do commercials. We've done a few features, a few like series, but mostly we do, relatively big commercials for clients like Disney and Walmart and Pizza Hut and stuff like that, Freeform, Facebook, stuff like that. Um, and so I've been doing Snow Stories has been doing that for a long time before we ever got into verticals. But even before that, I was just freelancing. The way that uh, I started as a theater major, and I wanted to be an actor. But I met a guy named Chris Crutchfield, who was an editor. Um, and the two of us really hit it off, and we started like we became really good friends and just started working on everything together. And Chris started teaching me about editing and about like camera work, because he had a camera. And I started teaching him about acting and stuff like that. And it was, we were just kind of goofing off, making funny videos. But I realized like, oh, I like this much better. I vastly prefer to be on the other side of the camera. And so for a while, because I had an agent in down there in Charlotte, and I did a couple of big films, and I was the Chris and I were both the spokesman for Ashley Furniture Home Store for
Oh
a
my
couple of
gosh!
years. Yeah, back in the day, back when I was a lot younger, we were the spokesman. We were the goofy spokesman for a furniture brand for a while. But when we moved out to LA, it's very clear here. Like I could act as like a side hustle while I was really pursuing, directing and production as my passion in Charlotte. But out here, it's so cutthroat with acting that like I was like, I'm not gonna chase this down. Like I'll leave the acting to the people that really care about it and really are passionate about it. The way that I'm passionate about being behind the camera and
Yeah.
telling stories through film work. So that's how I stumbled into production work. Was I met a guy who knew how to edit. He taught me how to do what he was doing and how to work with cameras, and I liked it better and never looked back.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. So, how many verticals in, or how many have you done? How many has Snow Story done?
I do not know the exact number, is the truth. I would need to check, but I know that we've done more than 60 at this point. I think that makes
So
us,
60.
yeah, I am pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I am pretty sure that makes us the biggest in North America. That I don't think that there's any other American company that has done the volume that we've done. And we've had, again, to the best of my knowledge, please don't
Yeah,
hate
yeah,
me if
yeah.
I'm lying, but I think that we've had the biggest hits of any third party production company. The only there obviously there's bigger hits than we've made, but I think that it's only by first party, Drama Box or Real Short have made
Yeah.
hits bigger than us. But they've also made like 60 times as many as we have. They
Well,
make
yeah.
We've made over 60. They make over 60 in like a month.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, when you guys did the thing right around Christmas time where it was like a tunnel with all the pitch, I was like trying to count those things. I was like, I didn't realize how many they did. But that was
Yeah.
great advertising. That was really cool. So,
Thank you.
how many
Thank you.
verticals in, well, like when you realized this is going to be big? Like,
Man, that's tough. I have not.
And yeah, it's just
I will say. Sorry.
no, no. I was just gonna say that's a question that Lane gave me.
Yeah, I right away, like I said, like on the very first one, like Casey and I and Corey and a few of the others were like, oh, this really is something. Like this is because we kind of all were like, oh, the script's kind of schlocky, this is silly, and we don't have a budget. But then as we were shooting it, it was like, no, there's something like this fast pace. This is better than what Hollywood's doing. This constant like dopamine hit, cliffhangers, and like every second something's happening. This is this is a feature, not a bug. And like maybe people do want to watch things, vertically. I don't remember though when it really clicked though. I remember like feeling like my eyes opened on that first one, but I don't think fully. It was
Now, when was
probably
your
more
first one?
like, hmm?
When was your first one filmed?
That would have
2020.
been February of 2024. Very beginning, like February 1st of 2024. Yeah. So we
That's
were
crazy.
one of the OGs. Yeah. Back when it was I mean, it still is kind of the Wild West, but at the time, the what was considered a hit was much smaller than what's considered a hit now. And also like the production value on those first few that we saw when we were being shown like what other stuff the company's done that we were being compared to. uh it was like, yeah, I think we're going to be able to top that. And now they look fantastic. Like we're not like I take a lot of pride in how good ours look, and we are not the only ones. There's a lot of these that look really incredible with fantastic acting, really great camera work and cinematography. And like the storytelling through the medium has really improved in the past couple of years in noticeable ways to me.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And as you hiring some of these newer actors that are coming from the modeling world and stuff, you see them get better,
Yeah,
and I know those sets are getting better. And now I've been hired as a casting agent for a company in Atlanta. So
awesome.
I know I just found out yesterday. So I'm pretty excited about that. Hoping I get to work with you.
Yeah,
Um,
I hope so too. I mean, we're shooting a bunch in Atlanta.
yeah, I would love to work with you guys and help you out. But so how is Snow Story paying attention to and adapting to with the American vertical audience? There's the Chinese audience, and a lot of your clients may still be from China and they
Yeah.
still like the tropes and everything, but I'm starting to see a lot of companies, platforms, basically are moving away a little bit from that because of, I don't know if it's Western civilization or if it's, you still got that Chinese influence.
Yeah, how are we moving away from how are we Americanizing it? It's so I mean in one sense, some of our clients like we are actually literally needing to like do kind of like a localization pass to clean it up so that it doesn't sound like it came out of Google Translate. So that is one thing. Um and we are doing that where it's necessary. Most of our clients, that's not an issue. But when it is, we do clean it up in that way. Um, Beyond that, it's it's hard to say because we are at the behest of our clients in all of these cases, and they are paying attention to that data. And everybody's just kind of figuring out this Western market still. The early ones of these were direct translations from Chinese. Now you're starting to see a lot more that are written either by Americans, or with the help of Americans, and aren't such direct translations. They are a very different thing, and already you're seeing a lot more American sensibilities starting to appear in these. The tropes are different, the style is different, and I think that will continue to evolve and change. But I don't think anyone has quite figured out yet exactly what the American audience wants. They know, like, the in China, this has been around for 5, 6 years, and they've got hard data. They know exactly how to market to Chinese people. Right now, I think they're still kind of figuring it out, and they're dialing it in. They're getting better at it, I'm sure. But I think that it's going to be these next 2 or 3 years that we really figure out what American audiences really want in these. Um, because, like, for example, in China, a whole lot of genres have appeared that don't exist here. I learned recently that it was the male audience first in China, and then later they added the female audience. And in India, it's skewed heavily male, the same way that in the English language it's skewed female. So I think, we're going to see stuff for a male audience. We're going to see new genres, and we're going to see different genres than what works in China and India. I think one of the reasons that we haven't seen male audience here is because romance translates no matter what your language, no matter what your culture. But the stuff that draws in a male audience in China is different from what draws in a male audience in America. And so there was a little bit more of a translation, you know, a need for translating elements. And so the female audience was easier to grab quickly. But um, I'm expecting us to continue to figure that out and figure out what genres work here that don't work there, and what tropes work here. I mean, obviously people are getting kind of tired of banquets and things like that, and
Believe me.
we'll see if they start dialing back on that stuff. We're lucky in that I don't think we have a lot of banquet scenes that everybody complains about, but that's I promise, I wish I could take credit for that, but that's just kind of blind luck that we haven't ended up with those scripts. But I'm glad that we haven't, especially considering how much everybody seems to really not be a fan. But it's kind of an always evolving thing.
Yeah. And I think the interesting thing is I think that if you guys did more thrillers or, sports related, race car, hockey, those type of things that are not a necessary romance, I think that you would get a lot of that male audience. But one thing someone asked me on a panel the other day, they said, what would you like to see? And I said, I'd like to see romance, but I don't want the hallmark predictable, same story,
Yeah.
same ending, just different characters, different location, different occupations. And I see a lot of that. I do like the romance, but there's a lot of variables that could be done in verticals that would take you away from being like the Hallmark type person, movie, or GAC or one of those. And I'm starting to see that a little more in verticals, and I'm pleased.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased to see that. And you guys have done that in a number of yours, which I've really
Awesome. Thank you.
enjoyed. Yeah,
Good.
they've been amazing. And so that's been really exciting for me. But um so what do you think is a vertical trend that's on its way out? Do you
On
think?
its way out.
Yeah.
On its way out. Gosh, I don't know. I that is you're giving me the challenging question, Cindy. I On its way out.
I mean, I'm just wondering, are we going to continue to see the slapping, the horrible treatment of animals, little kids?
So I only earlier today heard about some of these that I guess are like torturing or killing animals. First, we have never done one of those. I've never seen one of those. I did not realize that that was a thing. So I hope that that's something that goes away relatively soon. And we've been lucky in that we haven't had any of these projects where they're like really horribly abusing the women. To me, in my mind, and maybe we differ on this, but I think the slaps are silly. Generally speaking, there's a line, certainly, but some of the ones that I've heard about where they're really like horribly abusing some of the leading ladies, we've never done a script like that. It's never come across my desk. Like, I've never had the opportunity to greenlight or not greenlight a script like that. We've had stuff that's maybe wading into dangerous territory, some red flags, but typically we've built up enough of a reputation that most of our clients listen to us when we give feedback, and we're kind of like, trying to. Don't remember the original question. I went off on a tangent, and
Yeah, no, because it's what vertical trend do you see leaving? And that's
yeah.
where I think we are. I know from a number of actors. I mean, I've had an actor yesterday tell me, because I said, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a vertical lately." And he said, "I'm turning them down because they're so abusive." He says, "I'm just going to do my modeling for right now." But he says, "I've turned down 20 in the last 2 months."
Oh, wow. Yeah,
You know, and
Casey. Sorry. Go
no, go
ahead.
ahead.
Well, Casey Jackson was just telling me that he turned one down because it was so like, and he was like, "Look, I don't have a problem with a little bit of this or a little bit of that," but he was like, "This was over a line," and I was like, totally turned it down. Again, luckily, I've not seen any of those scripts. We're very lucky to work with clients that maybe have a little bit better sensibilities on those sense, but I guess I hope that those are the tropes and trends that subside and go away, because um there's nothing fun about torturing animals or torturing humans, or like, and don't get me wrong, if this is some like mob movie and somebody has to, like, some like James Bond has to endure some torture, great, sign me up. But I think that what we're talking about is a little bit different than that.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think the thing is what I'm noticing in these verticals is when you do have a woman that gets slapped or slaps another woman, I think you're gonna watch it because you want to see if the woman that got slapped is gonna do revenge and get her back
Hmm.
or something,
Hmm.
So you've got that, that thriller. I think what they call it is, the opening and then the medium and then the cliffhanger. And you want to know
Hmm.
if that's gonna happen and that girl's gonna get her back, is
Right.
karma getting her back. So that's why you're getting those hits, and that's why they're going, okay, we need to make more of these. If I see one more high school vertical in the school outfits with the mini skirts and the same type of story recycled, it's just crazy. But my question to you, you
Hmm.
have clients probably all over the world. Do they come to you and say, we would like to offer this job to you? Will you take a look at it? And it might be for a whole bunch of different platforms because there's 317 platforms right now that I know of.
I'm not surprised by that number, but I had not heard that number out loud. Honestly, that is higher than I thought that it would be. And I knew that it was going to be high, but I would not have guessed that high. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
And Nikki, a writer that writes, her and I put it together one night and then we keep adding to the list. So we're going to publish that list. But yeah,
yeah.
317 right now. Yeah. So do they come to you or?
Yes, honestly, we do very little outreach. Everybody just kind of stumbles into us, and they reach out and they say, hey, either they say, "Hey, we've got a script," or, "Hey, would you write us a script?" Or, what concepts do you have lying around, or whatever. But for the moment, we're just a hired gun. People come to us and hire us to do a project, and we do it to their specifications, whether it's them writing or us writing.
Now, do you have a writing team for you that you guys have on Snow Story? You
It,
have people that write.
we don't have like a full-time staff or anything like that, but we have a team, a short team of writers that we love working with, that we call regularly. They're not exclusive to us, so do you write them?
Yeah,
All right,
I've
let's
got
go.
four. I've
You've
got
written
four.
four?
Uh huh. I'm just putting the
I
finishing touches on them now. You had no
I
idea.
had no I had no idea. That's so cool. Send them my way.
Well, how I got started was my reviews, and I
Yeah,
thought,
makes
you know
sense.
what? I know the stories.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
You
my
probably
writing.
know the structure, the tropes, the format better than 99% of the people who are writing them, I'd bet.
Yeah, in my idea, I would love to see more green flag men. that type of thing. But I would also, I know they're doing a big fairy tale movie that's coming out soon, a basketball movie that's coming out soon. So that's going to get some male because there's not really any female co-star in it. So it's going to be, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of the male viewers. I think we're going to start seeing more of that. But I don't know how many movies do you guys have going at a time, and how big is your staff? I mean, I know you've got
Yeah.
party like Casey and Corey. You hire them for the jobs, but I know you've got a team.
So we have a good amount of like full-time, Snow Story employees. And then it's tough because people like Corey is pretty much always on a job for us, one job or another. Because Corey, unlike a lot of the directors, when he's not directing, he just goes back to DPing. So we keep that guy working. He doesn't get any days off. But it's like that with a lot of the guys. Our teams in Charlotte and London and Atlanta are more spaced out. They're shooting more like one every month or so. Whereas the teams in LA, they just go from one shoot to the next to the next. So even though a lot of those guys are not full time, they effectively are. They have weekends off and they work on the weekdays. And our editors, our post team, they're basically full time. They are not. They're freelancers, but they're only working for us. They're not working for other production companies or other vertical companies or the apps or whatever. So all in all, I think last time we kind of roughly counted it up. It was around 70, 80 people. Yeah, but that's between two teams in LA, a team in Atlanta, a team in Charlotte, a team in London, the full-time staff, the post team, the sales people, the infrastructure, the administrative people. It's a big operation. And how many we're doing a month? We're doing 15 January, February, March, but only one, because because the Christmas time happens and everybody shuts down. We have 4 weeks of pre-production, which means when everything shut down in December, we didn't have a lot to crank in January. So of that 15, all but one are happening. I lost count. All but one are happening in February and March. We've got February is going to be wild, and March is going to be even more wild.
Oh my goodness. So I want to know, you're running this high demand production company, you're the boss, and directing yourself, producing, you're doing it all, and you have a family. How do
Yes.
you do it? I mean, you have
Uh,
what, three tiny ones?
I do have teeny tiny ones. I have two twin 3-year-olds. They will be 4 in just a couple of weeks, and a 1-year-old. They are having a blast in the snowstorm. Except the 1-year-old is not that big of a fan of the snow at the moment. So, and how I do it is, one, I have a wonderful wife who is 24/7 on child duty, unfortunately, so as to allow me to effectively be 24/7 on work duty. It's definitely a grind, and the company is growing faster than I can keep up with. And yeah, I don't sleep a lot. I don't have a social life. That's the answer to how I do it. My friends are the people that I talk to about work, and every time I'll talk to Pierce or Corey or somebody, and I'll be like, oh, blah 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 blah, and he's like, oh, it's so nice to hear from you. I haven't talked to you in a while. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I talk to you like all the time, but like it's been like 3 weeks. But because I'm on one call after another, after another, after another, sometimes I go 2-3 weeks without talking to somebody and don't even notice, because I don't have friends outside of work, fortunately.
I'm the
I
same
do,
way.
I never see them. That's more the truth.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I want to ask you. I know. So this is a story I've heard. that when these creatives, when the people that are the actors, let's take for example Jackson Tiller and Meg Bush, they do a movie with you guys. If they want to see it, a lot of times the platform does not give them like coins or a link to watch it themselves, um, because it's usually the platform that does that. Um, when I was asking Jackson the other day, I said, I love working with Snow Story, and he said they are fantastic. He goes, they're so good to work with. They're the best. And
Well,
I
good.
said, can you confirm that you guys don't get to see your work, from platforms? And he said, yeah, that's true in a lot of cases. He said, but Snow Story is really good about giving us, our parts that we were in. And he says, and they're the only ones that do that. So congratulations on that. I mean, that's huge.
Well, thank you. So first off, the feeling is mutual with Jackson. He's awesome. He is one of the most talented actors in the vertical space, in my opinion, and such a just lovely human being. Like he's a great guy and really great to work with. We've worked with him, I think, only 2 times. I want to say that there's a third that I'm forgetting, but I think it was just Finding Master Right and then CEO and the Country Girl. But he's so delightful, and so it's meaningful to hear him say nice things about us. But as far as that goes, that's not always the case, unfortunately. We try to when we can, but we do always have to get the blessing of the app before we can share. We do keep our own, like, obviously if we're doing the post production, and we don't always, sometimes we don't, but when we do post production, we obviously have the finals of everything, and at worst case scenario can at least let people watch it, if the app, and that is true sometimes, that the app does not give coins, or whatever they use, if not
Link or
coins,
whatever.
gems, whatever. But most of the in my experience, most of the apps, and this is weird to me because I'm come from traditional Hollywood where like everybody gets copy.
Yeah.
There's a phrase, pay copy crafty or something like that. There's a phrase that you get, you always get a copy of your work, and it's weird to me that that these apps are so stingy about it. But I think it comes from the fact that they come from tech. They don't come from Hollywood, so they're not used to some of those norms that we have in the film industry, and they're just trying to be protective of their IPs. They don't want to see it get leaked somewhere, and so we try to be careful to honor their word, and honor our word to them, and
Yeah.
so like if they say you can't share it, then we say unfortunately we can't share it. In that case, obviously they let us, and I'm glad that they did, and we're happy to provide that whenever we're allowed to. Some of the apps, most of the apps will give like, all right, tell me which episodes you want. We'll give you only those episodes, which seems really stingy. But some of the episodes, to my knowledge, don't even give copy at all. Like,
None.
yeah,
None.
which is
Um,
baffling.
you know,
So,
I was on set. I was on 5 sets. Every single set, people would say, "How many apps do you have?" And I said, "I have about 20." Can you look up this movie for me? I directed it and I never got to see it. Or can you look at this and tell me how I did? Or can you tell me how the ending turned out on this? I heard that the whole times I was on set
yeah,
because they wanted me to look it up to show them their own work. And I'm like, wait, wait, you guys don't get to see your work? And they're like, no, we don't.
yeah.
I was
It's
blown away.
it really, like, again, coming from traditional Hollywood, it's really baffling. It seems like such a, simple gesture. Even if you like wait a month, let the show have its performance, and then a month later give people copy, or something like that. But I think, it's difficult, and those
Exactly.
guys, they have their operation, and they're operating very streamlined, and I get it, I guess. I just, that's not how I would do things, and so
Yeah, and that's not how I would either. I mean, I would love for these creatives to be able to see their work that they've done. But going on to another thing, what has been your biggest movie that you've done in verticals, like view wise or that was the most popular?
Well, view wise, there's no question. It's The Virgin and the Billionaire,
Oh yeah.
um, which was also our first non-interactive, because we started, like I said, doing the interactive ones. Um, Depending on how you count the views, Senator's Son and Summer Situationship were both, and Pregnant by My Ex's Dad are all very close as well. They're interactive, and the interactive ones, based on my understanding, they tend to have a bit lower of performance. Like they don't get as high of views, but those numbers matter more. Like if you take the numbers of an interactive one and roughly double it or so, you get how they consider it to have performed compared to a non-interactive, because they make more profit off of the interactive nature of
Oh,
it and stuff.
huge profit.
Um, so I would imagine, yeah, that's my understanding. I've heard the complaints a few times, but Senator's Son is neck and neck, and I think Summer Situationship and Pregnant by My Ex's Dad are right behind. There's one other one that's a really big one that we did. Now I'm blanking on it.
These titles.
The Genius and the Genius and the Bad Boy.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
I've
those
written.
are our biggest. Uh,
Now, which one's your favorite that you've worked on,
you
or
know,
how do you?
somebody asked me this earlier today, and it's a tough it man, it's a tough question. Okay. All right. I'm gonna try to answer it correctly. And I will say I have not seen all of our shows. I try to watch as many as I can, but we've done so many that if I watched all of them, all I would be doing is watching our shows, I feel like. Although I'm talking to somebody who watches 60 shows like probably in a month, so I like you're probably like, that's child's play. But I do really love CEO and the Country Girl. I think that one is really, like, it's adorable. It's cute. It has like a wholesome vibe, and Jackson and Meg are two of the biggest vertical stars for a reason. Like they've got it. They've got that it quality that everybody talks about, and they have great chemistry. They were a great pair in the movie. They had a lot, like, that one's funnier than a lot of them are. So I really like that one. And also Jenny. I don't know if you know Jenny Rosen, who wrote it. She's great. I love her. We've been working together since long before verticals were even a thing, and I'm super excited to see her rise to superstardom in the vertical world, because she really deserves it, and has earned it. And she's a great writer, and she wrote a great little script in CEO and the Country Girl.
It
And
was fantastic. It was so well
yeah,
done. I mean, I never write 4 reviews. I write one intense review and maybe a fun little one, but that one got 4 reviews. I mean, I remember saying that
yeah.
the Buttons fought for their lives on that one because on
Yes, yes.
on
Well,
Jackson's.
Jackson is a very has a very good physique. He makes everybody else, all the rest of us men, feel a little like we ought to work out a little more when he's around. So, um, but and it's not fair. Let me just add this, Jackson, if you're watching this, it's not fair when people are that good looking and they're also really nice people. You want for people that look like that to be jerks. Then life is fair. But when they look like that and they're also really cool, nice people, it's not okay. So
I mean,
Jackson, if you're listening, you need to start drinking a 6-pack every night or so,
and
and stop
I
working
have
out so much.
I have to tell you the funniest story about this whole thing is I was on all these different sets, and so I would just ask different people from crew to directors to actors, everybody. I said, who have you really, really enjoyed working with? Everybody said Jackson.
Yep.
Everybody. I
Not
mean, his
surprised.
name came up 20 or 30 times a day, on set. And I'm like, wow, I'm seeing a thing here. This guy is so nice.
And I'll tell you what else. I I think the vertical industry has a real benefit in the way that we work. We're working at such a fast pace with such a low budget that we just don't have time for divas. And so, no matter how good you are, if you don't come knowing your lines with a good attitude, and like happy to be there, um, those people, I think they wash out pretty quickly. And the people who have risen to the top, I'll tell you why. If you're a bad actor, but you know every single one of your lines, and you hustle, like you get from the makeup chair to set quick so you're not wasting everybody's time, and you get into costume quick and you're there to work, you will get that extra time that not being a diva buys you, gives you just a few extra takes. And those extra takes lead to a better performance, and they lead to you getting better as an actor. And I really believe the people who have risen to the top of the vertical industry are largely doing so not because they're good. And in a lot of cases they are also good, but they're rising to the top because they're wonderful to work with and everybody wants to work with them over and over again. I'll tell you another one. Rebecca Stoughton is have you met her?
No, I
Um
want to.
I I thought this was somebody that just knows how to play the Hollywood game. She knows how to put on an air of being just a sweet little Midwestern lady, and just is happy about everything, and it's just a facade. And after working with her a few times, it's that's she is just really that wonderful. Like she is a breath of fresh air to work with. She's so professional. She is so just delightful to work with, delightful to be around. And it's like that is a huge, huge difference from Hollywood.
Yeah,
Where
she's
the divas unfortunately kind of rise to the top in a lot of ways, and it's nice to see our industry is becoming dominated through by necessity by really wonderful people that people really love working with. I've not had the opportunity to meet Meg. I was on set with her on CEO and the Country Girl. Um, but they were busy and I was busy and we just didn't get a chance to meet. But everybody says that she is the same way, and Jess Jacoby, and like, I feel
oh,
bad because I've listed a few people and there's probably like 10 other people that I
well,
should be listing. And,
there are, but I'll tell you,
but
Rebecca, Meg, Jessica, Jess Jacoby, those are all at my top of my list. They're my
yeah,
favorite actresses, and
Th-
I think highly of all three of them. I mean, Jess Jacoby has been following me from very early days of when I started, and
yeah,
been very supportive, and
yeah,
I absolutely love her. And
yeah,
Rebecca, she just makes me smile. You
yeah.
know, she just makes me smile, and I just
Meet her. She's like that in real life. It's not a facade. She's just a delightful, sunshiny person.
Yeah, I was teasing her because Corey had been with her right before I met Corey, and I was like, "Oh, if I would have known, I would have said, hey, bring her along for dinner,"
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But so you guys are working on projects now, and you work on them in London, North Carolina, Atlanta, and LA.
Correct. And we
Wow,
are, did I say we're expanding into Rio and hopefully Vancouver later?
Rio,
Yeah,
Rio de Janeiro.
Rio de Janeiro. My brother-in-law is Brazilian, so I have a connect down there.
Wow, and Vancouver's great. That'll be
Yeah,
awesome. So that is
yeah,
pretty exciting. So I know you have to go. You've got another appointment, but I'm going to edit
yes.
this, get this out,
Okay,
and then maybe we'll talk again because I'll tell you, Austin,
please.
you and I talking the other night, I thought I was talking to
Yeah,
Lane and I was talking to you. That was a blast. But I have to
yeah,
tell
same.
you, I'm so pleased with what Snow Story has done in the vertical industry. You guys, you should be very, very, very proud. Um,
Thank you. Thank you.
as a reviewer, as a critic, I have to dig deep to find something bad to write about you guys. If I'm honest with myself, it's not all praises a lot of times. Yes, I've
Yeah.
been critical of, some consistencies and stuff. And then after I wrote it, I thought, oh my gosh, they filmed that in 4 days. Okay, I get that. Um,
Yeah.
but you guys, when I know there's a Snow Story movie, you pretty much know that I'm going to watch it. you know,
Awesome. That's
because
that's
I just
really that means a lot to hear, honestly. Like it's exciting. Like we've been doing this a while, and it's hard to. I don't feel I until you and some of the
and you are, and I started noticing it as I was watching it. And I would start a movie not knowing it was your company, and I'd go, "Oh, this has to be a Snow Story production." It has to be. And because a lot of times the IMDb, I like to watch the movies right when they come out because I know that 72 hours is so important for platforms, to get that movie done. And so I try to watch them, and a lot of times IMDb is not updated, so I can't watch them. But having the credits, Austin, that's like so huge. Names on the posters, huge. I mean, I don't know what it would take to do that, but I think it'd be great. Yeah. Well, that's why I always, call out if I can, because a lot of times I don't have the information and I'm asking everybody, who's the DP, who's the director, who's the, I try to get all that in all of my reviews when I can, but you should be really proud. I'm excited about it. Getting that information from you about coming prepared. I don't know if you know, I do a mom's advice for actors on my page. So every few days I do mom's advice. And a couple of those that you talked about today have been posts that I've done. You know, be ready, enjoy the shoot, that kind of thing. And so everybody I've talked to that's ever worked with you loves you, or loves the team. So the best. So, but I really, really appreciate your time, and we're going to get this up, and I'm so excited, and we'll talk soon. Perfect. Thank you, Austin. Uh huh.